some sort of time window. We are a time series database, so timestamps are pretty important to us. So typically you're going to specify a start and an end time. So usually that's how I start this thing. I start by just designating a couple of cells for these things. I make extensive use of cell references when I build data link reports. And the reason is you can hard code all this information into the formulas if you want. So you can retrieve calculated data, you can write the timestamp right in that thing, and then retrieve the values. But if you want to change the time reference, you have to actually go back into the formula and start changing things in there. Whereas if you use cell references, you just change it in the cell, and the entire report updates dynamically. And also, when you push these things up into the web parts environment, if you opt to use Data Link for Excel services with SharePoint, it's something that's actually going to be dynamic for those users as well. So they might not have Data Link installed on their desktop, but they can still go to SharePoint and update those reports via some of these cell references. So you could make the start and the end time something that they can modify up in that area without allowing them to modify any of the back-end stuff. So they're not going to be able to change what tags are being displayed or what formulas you're using. So you've standardized your report and you've made it available to a wider audience. But it's still a report that a subset is blessed, as opposed to if you've used Excel at all, you know that if you ship a report that you generated off to somebody else that has some calculations in it, there's nothing stopping that person from modifying the way those calculations are done. So that's where putting all this stuff up in the SharePoint environment can really help. I'm also going to designate an interval. This can be helpful. A lot of our queries, like the calculation queries, can be broken up into smaller chunks, so you can specify a week window, but then break it up into daily calculations. That can be pretty helpful. And then if you make it a cell reference, that's dynamic too. So I could break it up into daily intervals, then I can go hourly, then I can break it out into 3-day intervals. So it makes it to where you have a very, very dynamic report that can be reused for a lot of different types of reporting. You also need a list of tags or attributes or whatnot that you're interested in your Pi system. So I'm actually just going to start typing some stuff out for time's sake. I've memorized quite a few of the points within the Pi server. But you can basically just generate a list of these things. I'm sure Travis is also probably somewhat aware of some of these. And we're going to grab some current values just so you see how that tabs function really bothers me. I can't seem to turn it off on this laptop. So right now we have a list of tags, some current values that we're going to grab. So if we look at the current value query, all of these configuration windows look pretty similar for these functions. Basically what we're doing is we're giving you a little configuration window that sets all of the inputs for the Excel formulas that are being generated for Data Link. So all these things are Excel formulas, right? Similar if you just typed an average or if you use the function command to do this. It's just going to basically create a string or a formula here. And if you want, you can actually memorize that structure and start typing those things in directly. I've actually had a couple customers, especially when I was in field service, they just went and memorized everything. They didn't even use they didn't even need this ribbon anymore. They could just go ahead and type things in. I don't necessarily recommend spending your time on that, but if something clicks and you memorize all of them, maybe that'll be a quicker way to create some Data Link reports for you.
So while he's going through that, we've uploaded all of our training videos to YouTube. So you can go to the OSI Soft Learning channel on YouTube, and you can get a lot of the training for free. We also have, as he kind of goes through this, we do classroom training. We have kind of more traditional where we bring somebody up and do training, or for a classroom of folks, or you can send folks down to San Leandro, California, which is a suburb of Oakland, or I think we also do training in Houston and Philadelphia and Chicago and all kinds of places. But a lot of the real basic stuff in terms of utilizing the client tools are available for free on YouTube.
And they're small, like short, easily digestible chunks. You're not going to go to YouTube and see a 2-hour video. That'd be really unfortunate. I think they basically took the old CBTs, the old training materials, and divided them up, or re-recorded them in a lot of cases, into very, very small pieces. So you have a 5-minute video on how to create a new asset in AApp.
Good. So if you get, later on, say you guys choose to go with Pi, you've got the information, you're building a report, it's been a while, you forget exactly how to do something, you can pop open YouTube, type in configure multiple scales on a trend, and it'll take you to a video that shows exactly that. Just kinda
So one of the other queries I'm going to do, so I just did a current value query. It shows all of the current values at the point in which the spreadsheet recalculates. So if you want to recalculate a spreadsheet, there are a couple ways in which you can do it, but if you click the F9 key or do a Control-Shift F9, that'll basically force a refresh on the entire thing, and it'll refresh that current value as well. Also, if you change any of the inputs to any of the formulas on the spreadsheet, that'll cause an update as well. So just keep that in mind as we're using these cell references. That basically means whenever you change something, the report is going to be dynamic. It's going to change those retrieved values. So I'm going to add a little bit of context here. I'm going to grab just the descriptor for some of these points. I know it's empty for some of them, but if we want to do this, we're just going to look at the tag attributes, which I had already clicked on. So again, that just takes a list of tags. What attribute we're going to grab is we can either select it from a list, or again, I like using